Shavkat Rakhmonov is a name that has captured the attention of the global MMA community. A rising star in the UFC's welterweight division, Rakhmonov's journey to prominence has been one defined by discipline, skill, and an unyielding work ethic. With an undefeated record and a growing reputation, he stands as one of the most promising fighters to come out of Kazakhstan in recent years. It's not about the destination, but the journey that some of these talented athletes go through to get to this level of competition. We will be talking about the uprising of the Nomad as to how he came to conquer the MMA world and be digging deep into his background and culture. Shavkat Rakhmonov was born on October 23, 1994, in the city of Sochi, Uzbekistan, into a Kazakh family. His father decided to take him and his family back to their ancestral land of Kazakhstan when he was 16, and thereafter he turned into a Kazakh national. His father is a Kazakh of the Altanbai clan, and his mother is a Kazakh of the Konirat tribe. Rakhmonov is from the Altanbai clan of the Alimuli tribe of the Junior Zos of Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan has long been known for its rich cultural heritage and its sporting culture, particularly in the areas of wrestling and martial arts. The region has produced several top-tier athletes, many of whom have risen to prominence on the global stage. Rakhmonov, coming from this fertile ground of athleticism, was exposed to combat sports from a young age. Shavkat's younger sister, Sora Rakhmonova, is also an MMA fighter who competed in the Niza Fighting Championship. Kazakhstan is full of historic events, home to many empires and peoples. Kazakhstan was always a nomadic, warlike lifestyle. There are stories that Neanderthals were present throughout the region at some point in history. Between 500 BC and 500 AD, Kazakhstan was home to the Saka and the Huns, early nomadic warrior cultures. Kazakhstan was conquered by the Mongol Empire and controlled by the Golden Horde. After the Golden Horde declined, the Uzbek Khanate broke away from it. In 1465, Kazakh Khanate gained its independence from the Uzbeks. Portions of the country began to be annexed by the Russian Empire in the 18th century, the remainder gradually being absorbed into Russian Turkestan beginning in 1867. The modern Republic of Kazakhstan became a political entity during the 1930s Soviet subdivision of Russian Turkestan. Kazakhstan, as a country, has a deep tradition of combat sports, with wrestling and boxing being particularly prominent. Growing up in Shymkent, Rakhmonov was surrounded by this culture, and, like many other children in his community, he was drawn to the idea of becoming a champion in one of these disciplines. From an early age, Rakhmonov's parents noticed his athletic potential, and they encouraged him to pursue sports as a way to stay active and disciplined. The influence of his parents was significant as they supported his interests while also ensuring that he remained grounded in his values and education. While wrestling was the dominant sport in Shymkent at the time, Rakhmonov's interests expanded as he matured. He started his athletic journey in traditional wrestling, a sport that provided him with the foundation of discipline and physicality that would serve him well in the years to come. His early exposure to wrestling allowed him to develop a solid understanding of grappling techniques, leverage, and control, key attributes that would later make him an exceptional mixed martial artist. Rakhmonov's talent in wrestling became apparent as he began competing in local competitions. Competing in combat sambo would give him an edge in the future once he transitioned to MMA in his rise through the ranks. As he continued to progress, Rakhmonov began to realize that his interests were expanding beyond wrestling. He became captivated by mixed martial arts, a sport that combined striking, grappling, and submissions into a holistic combat discipline. The transition from wrestling to MMA is not always a smooth one. Many wrestlers who enter the world of MMA struggle to adapt to the new demands of striking and submissions. But for Rakhmonov, the change was seamless. His wrestling skills were already well developed, and it was simply a matter of addressing the necessary tools to become a complete fighter. Rakhmonov's first exposure to MMA came during his teenage years. Like many young athletes in Kazakhstan, he followed international MMA promotions like the UFC and watched as legends like Fedor Emelianenko and Khabib Nurmagomedov dominated the sport. These fighters became his idols and helped inspire him to pursue MMA at a higher level. He began training in various disciplines, including boxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and kickboxing in order to round out his skills and transition into MMA. By the time Rakhmonov was in his late teens, he had already begun competing in local MMA events in Kazakhstan. His early MMA career was characterized by his rapid improvement and ability to adapt to the demands of the sport. Rakhmonov's background in wrestling provides the area of MMA. Shavkat has lost before in 2 amateur bouts by decision to Ghaznimurad Hiramagomedov in 2-round fights. In 2014, Rakhmonov made his professional MMA debut in his home country. He competed in the local promotions where he continued to refine his skills and gain experience. The early days of his career were formative as he learned valuable lessons in fight strategy, pacing, and mental toughness. During this period, Rakhmonov amassed an undefeated record, capturing the attention of MMA fans and analysts. Rakhmonov's ability to finish fights quickly became one of his hallmarks. His combination of knockout power and submission ability made him a dangerous opponent in any situation. He would go on to capture titles in regional promotions and face increasingly higher-level competition. Rakhmonov would go on to become a welterweight champion in the M1 global promotion. His success in the regional MMA scene earned him a reputation as one of the top emerging prospects in the sport. As Rakhmonov's reputation grew, so did his aspirations. The ultimate goal for any top-level fighter is to reach the UFC, the world's premier MMA organization. The UFC represents the pinnacle of the sport, and for many fighters, it is the opportunity to showcase their skills on the biggest stage. Rakhmonov was no exception, and he knew that in order to achieve his goals, he would need to prove himself in the global MMA arena. Rakhmonov's breakthrough moment came in 2020 when he was offered a contract with the UFC. The opportunity came after an impressive run in regional promotions where he defeated top fighters and showcased his well-rounded skill set. He was a rising star in the MMA world, and the UFC recognized his potential. After many fights that Shavkat was scheduled to fight fell through, Rakhmonov would face the experienced Brazilian fighter Alex Oliveira at UFC Fight Night, Qatar vs. Ige on July 11, 2020 in his debut. It was a high-pressure moment for Rakhmonov as he was stepping into the octagon for the first time under the UFC banner. Despite the nerves that come with such an opportunity, Rakhmonov remained calm and composed. He showed no signs of being overwhelmed by the occasion and delivered an electrifying performance. In the first round, he finished Oliveira via submission, marking an impressive start to his UFC career. The victory over Oliveira not only showcased Rakhmonov's skills, but also served as a statement to the rest of the division. The welterweight division is one of the most competitive in the UFC, with many seasoned fighters vying for the title. Rakhmonov's debut win was a sign that he was ready to face the top fighters in the world and that he had the skills to compete at the highest level. Following his successful debut, Rakhmonov's momentum continued. He faced Jared Gooden at UFC Fight Night, Moraes vs. Sandhagen on October 24, 2020. In another dominant performance, Rakhmonov defeated Gooden via submission in the third round, extending his undefeated record and further solidifying his position as a rising star in the UFC. Shavkat Rakhmonov is known for his versatility and adaptability as a fighter. His background in wrestling serves as the foundation for his fighting style, but he has developed into a well-rounded mixed martial artist capable of competing with the best in all arenas. His fighting style is a blend of powerful striking, precise grappling, and high-level submissions. On feet, Rakhmonov is an aggressive striker with knockout power. He has a heavy right hand that he uses to great effect, often catching opponents off guard with his explosiveness. His striking is not just about power, though. Rakhmonov possesses excellent footwork, head movement, and timing. He can work from both the inside and outside, and he is patient when picking his shots. Rakhmonov's ground game is perhaps the most dangerous aspect of his skill set. As a wrestler, he has an innate ability to control his opponents on the ground and dictate the pace of the fight. He is relentless in his pursuit of takedowns, often working tirelessly to bring the fight to the mat. Once on the ground, Rakhmonov is comfortable both on top and from his guard. He has a diverse arsenal of submissions, including rear naked chokes and arm triangles, and he is always looking for an opportunity to finish the fight. One of the most impressive aspects of Rakhmonov's fighting style is his fight IQ. He is able to adjust to the flow of the fight and make strategic decisions based on his opponent's strengths and weaknesses. His ability to remain calm under pressure and make intelligent choices in the heat of battle sets him apart from many of his peers. Rakhmonov's mental fortitude is another key factor in his success. MMA is a sport that demands not only physical skill, but also mental toughness. Rakhmonov has demonstrated time and time again that he has the mental strength to push through difficult situations, stay focused on his goals, and keep his emotions in check. This mental resilience is one of the reasons why he has been so successful in his career. An example of his mental toughness is showcased in his fight against Jeff Neal, where he was hurt throughout the fight, but never gave up on getting the finish. He would finish Neal in the third round in a grueling fight by a standing rear naked choke. While Rakhmonov's rise through the MMA ranks has been impressive, it has not been without challenges. Like any fighter, Rakhmonov has faced adversity both inside and outside the cage. Injuries, setbacks, and difficult training camps are a part of every fighter's journey, and Rakhmonov has learned to overcome these obstacles and emerge stronger each time. As of 2025, Shavkat Rakhmonov remains undefeated and is regarded as one of the brightest prospects in the welterweight division. All of his wins have come by finished until he fought Ian Gary. Even though he won by decision, some fans might say he had a horrible performance for not finishing Gary. That just speaks to the finishing ability of Shavkat and what the fans expect of him. His ability to finish fights in multiple ways, his well-rounded skill set, and his mental toughness have all contributed to his success. But perhaps most importantly, Rakhmonov's drive to become the best continues to push him forward. Rakhmonov's future in the UFC is bright. He is on the cusp of becoming a world champion by challenging Belal Muhammad for the welterweight title. His journey is far from over, and the world of MMA is watching closely as this young Kazakh fighter looks to make his mark on the sport.